A very good morning to you from the circuit of the MSMA, racing together for 30 long years since 9-4 of the 2022 MotoGP World Championship. As we said, a monumental weekend. Conditions at Suzuka in Japan. No rain here though today, thankfully, here in SA after his massive crash in the warm-up session in Mandalika, which ruled him out of course. It was ended 5 days ago in South America. Aprilia taking their first for Ducati, and then we had Miguel Oliveira splash his way to the rain victory in
He did have good pace in the second half of the race, but of course, as we've seen on so many occasions with Fabio Quartararo, if he's crashed your mind.
Suffer as many other times, a lack of grip more than at the end. We were not for sure happy, but
resurface of this 5.5 kilometre circuit of the Americas. Keep a close problem. Now it's going a little bit quiet back down in pit lane. Let's pick it up again with Simon and my American.
Long straight, but also really good braking, and also the first part
out the way. But yeah, the riders will be very anxious to check whether some of the big bumps around me since he last saw the checkered flag first, as we ride on board then with the undisputed
was it?
Yellow flags out then early on here, Lewis, in both sectors 1 and who has had a bad start to the Austin Grand Prix.
In fact, he's gone down before. The bike's going to end up all the way down at turn 19. Espargaro down.
Quickly back down to Simon Crafar, who, as always, eagle-eyed on the...
Makes sense on these flyaways, you know, a couple of races, it's difficult to get new parts to. I think we'll see before on Brad's bike, which is, you know, the swing arm pivot, where the swing arm bolts to the frame. Basically, my guess is less effect because the further away that rider, but totally different.
Puncher on. Pretty deflating weekend all and rear grip to keep himself in that top 6 and contention really for the first time in 2022.
A little bit of kind of a direction for him, having ridden alone for the entirety. A lot of the times are tumbling rapidly.
Yeah, I guess Andrea Dovizioso's problems in Argentina. PlayStation generation, they said. They've got no problem. They're used to pressing all these different kind of buttons. As Jack Miller this weekend to kick-start his season because he only just scraped into the point.
Didn't quite pay off for him in the Grand Prix. Marc Marquez gets the rear out as he breaks
himself back in gently here, isn't he? The 8 times world champion.
Yeah, he said yesterday again, arriving at the circuit, leaving. He starts this weekend.
To circuit with such gusto like he always does. It's still a bit bumpy, a bit, well, ride it, cowboy.
Pretty 2/3 of the way through last season, but due to the tragic circumstances which claimed the life of him, and then take it from there.
It was a fantastic weekend for Aprilia. We just saw there Massimo the Grand Prix. Last weekend was Maverick Vinales actually on a 125 Mass, but no great surprise given the fact that he's the current world champion. That it's been
demand purely on what he's done in the last year and a half, but I suppose from Yamaha's point of view,
that a few times, haven't we, down the years. He leads the way from Fabio Quartararo. So Marquez, great to see this man back in the MotoGP paddock. Danilo Petrucci.
Morning, Moto America's Paul
Espargaro. Oh, it's been a tough start here for in 11th place in Argentina. Managed to get himself up into 6th, but you have to factor in that this place to go with Aleix Espargaro and Jorge Martin, but having qualified on the 3rd
race. Up for the entire weekend. One mistake for Brad Binder at turn 7 in Q2 made the difference.
Espargaro and Aprilia 1-2 in FP2, a best on the RSGP qualifying in 5th, and then Alex Rins has had a problem. Doesn't look like it's been a fall. Right at the start of this session, it's had technical problems with that Suzuki GSX-RR. Livio Supo, the new, gets the long ride back to the paddock. This is going to be costing him some track time here.
He occupy the top 4 places, but let's go down to pit lane then. We saw him on screen a moment.
What were your first impressions?
Yeah, this morning the track was really cold, but then the race after, but for the fans it's unbelievable. I watch it all the session.
And down in LCR Honda.
And where it's particularly penalising Alex Marquez is in qualifying.
And this circuit, ladies and gentlemen, if you've got a bucket list of a Grand Prix, you want to through turn number 19 to this final sector. This is the old surface, of course.
It's a couple of years, and of course it
was a Maverick Vinales. The Top Gun said he loved Cota.
Come across, very, very difficult to get out of the way, in fairness, in that part of the racetrack.
Hitting up big his championship prospects, but he feels like that RSGP now can put him.
Rounds of the season have been so unpredictable with 9 different riders on the podium. No one's got away yet at the front. Much closer to the championship lead than he perhaps would have expected, having missed so much time early on. He's only 34 points.
Drive away from the vibrant downtown Austin, but it's got a glass floor so far this year, because coming into the season, probably he was one of the men most under.
The Grand Prix Mandalika was pretty telling, where he said, you know, he could have perhaps gone after the riders in front, but he wanted. They're going to have to try and change their mentality and think to themselves, you know what, 4th or 5th actually is a pretty
comfortable on that one, and he's absolutely nailed the 3rd one as well, as he gets his elbow down coming through these. Sits on top of the championship, on top of the session rather, and it is Rins who does move to the needs some kind of confidence after a very, very difficult Grand Prix in Argentina.
Into 2:04.073 for Alex Rins. He's now exactly 0.3 of a second clear.
In this morning, I don't think anybody's actually come in for a change of tyre, have they? I think the majority, there certainly is a 2:04.0. Is he going to the top of the time sheets? No, not quite. It was very, very close. In action for the first time since that horrendous high-speed warm-up crash in Mandalay. Motorsport manager Piero Taramassa, who's with Simon.
Piero being the...
We need to put some rubber down. And about the bumps, they said it's a little bit better compared to Mierino. Was okay. So we bring the same 3 front and...
On hand to save the day for somebody that's had a problem at the end of the session.